For most horror movies, they tend to focus on monsters, killers, and things that go bump in the night. But every once in a while, a horror movie comes along that subverts our expectations and lets the mystery of the story unfold naturally. In 2025, Weapons arrived quietly. There was no flashy marketing, just an ominous title and a trailer that hinted at an even grimmer story. We're presented with an intriguing mystery of a classroom full of children that disappear overnight, with only one child being left behind. All the children who vanish come from one classroom, being taught by Justine. This results in the town becoming suspicious while she tries to unravel the mystery. Much like Pulp Fiction, weapon scenes are presented in a non-linear style, allowing us to slowly unravel the plot while retaining questions that remain unanswered. The first half of the film relies on less is more. There's no elaborate creature designs and no supernatural mythology dumps. Instead, the film centres itself around absence. This gives us an ominous vibe. The horror comes from not what we see, but what isn't there anymore. Much like real life, the scariest tragedies rarely arrive with dramatic music. They arrive as news alerts, police statements, and photos on milk cartons. Weapons understands this. It treats loss as slow and unresolved, which immediately signals something important. This is not a story about spectacle. While this all is somewhat unravelled by the end of the film, with the looming figure, Gladys, who makes appearances throughout the movie, and is ultimately unmasked as the true villain of the piece. But before we get there, there is this looming sense of unease and mystery that I think taps into many different innate fears. And one theme that we keep returning to is alcohol. This is an idea that's been brought up in most analysis of this film, and it's clear to see why. It's presented as an ever-present force, shaping decisions, relationships, and neglect. Several of the adult characters are shown drinking heavily, especially the teacher Justine. These can range from casual drinking or discreetly drinking, often occurring when something bad happens to the character. What makes this disturbing is how real it feels. Nobody dramatically declares themselves an alcoholic in a neat cinematic arc. Instead, we see small things, short tempers, forgotten promises, or sleeping through emergencies. Alcohol creates absence and fills the void in most of the characters. Alcohol isn't a weapon because it causes violence. It's a weapon because it causes absence. Much like Gladys, creating the absence within the town. There's multiple weapons in this story. One of the film's more darker, subtle revelations is that none of this is new. Parents are shown to repeat the same patterns their parents lived. Neglect passed down like an heirloom. We see characters regard their own childhoods, homes filled with shouting and caregivers who drank. The film suggests a frightening truth that trauma and people's issues are passed down through generations. The setting of Weapons also looks ordinary. A quiet suburban town, with tree-lined streets, an active community and a functioning school. On the outside it's safe, but safety becomes an illusion. Teachers notice warning signs but feel powerless. The social services are overwhelmed and the police respond only once the event has happened. Every institution designed to protect children exists, but none of them truly intervene, because this intervention requires discomfort. The uncomfortable realization to acknowledge that something isn't quite right. None of them know what's happened. It requires asking hard questions. It requires believing the children that perhaps there is no logical explanation to this. It requires accepting that bad things can happen in ordinary, nice places. Weapons argues that society doesn't fail children through malice, but rather through convenience. It's easy not to look, and easy to assume someone else will handle it. That is, until nobody does. For many viewers, Weapons doesn't feel like escapist horror. It feels uncomfortably familiar because its imagery resembles real headlines. I think the film taps into a collective anxiety that we are surrounded by suffering we've learned to ignore, and that realisation strikes more fear than any jump scare. Before the big reveal, Weapons refuses to offer catharsis. While the villain ultimately gets their comeuppance, there's no comforting explanation. Some questions remain unanswered. While the victims seem to be rescued, it's implied that they aren't the same. As with life, most tragedies don't come with closure. The horror isn't that evil exists, it's that suffering can happen without resolution. But the world will keep turning. Weapons isn't asking us to fear the dark, it's asking us to fear indifference. When addiction is treated as a background noise, and when children become invisible. The unseen horror of Weapons isn't supernatural. It's a bit more human.